let me, since I'm the sultry, sexy one, I'll start out the
well, how come you
welcome.
get to be the sultry, sexy one?
Because the last time you sounded like you were recording a wind tunnel, and I wanna.
Yeah, but I'm not doing it like that now. I've got Yeti lit up on the thing, and my lip. Stop slurping. God, I'm gonna go over to your house,
Excuse
COVID
me.
or not, and smack that cup out of your hand.
I couldn't hear what you were saying. Boy, this is a fine cup of coffee.
I do say that is a fine cup of coffee.
It tastes like fermented dirt.
Uh-huh.
But that's kind of what I want with coffee. Man, my nose is starting to run. This coffee is giving me COVID. Okay.
Welcome to Irritable Dad Syndrome. Due to uncontrollable circumstances, there will be no unique open or close this week. Our apologies for any inconvenience. Here are your hosts, Mike and Darren.
Hey, I'm Darren.
Hey, I'm Mike.
Welcome to Irritable Dad Syndrome. This is episode 74, and we are back to doing the show remotely. I am in Studio A. Mike is in Studio B. Mike's kid caught the COVID.
Yeah, he caught the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And we have him quarantined, so we take quarantine very seriously around here. He hasn't been able to leave his room. As a matter of fact, I was talking to you this morning when he came out of his room, and you heard what happened.
Yeah, I thought you were going to take the whip to him.
There was cussing.
Uh-huh.
There was yelling.
Yes.
Get back in your room. What the hell do you think you're doing?
I know, I called to ask you a question, and the next thing I hear is, COVID! COVID! Get back in your room!
Who do you think you are?
What is wrong with you? Get back! Yeah.
He came down for food.
How dare he?
Food.
Don't you slide it under the door?
We try to, but all the food comes off, and he has to open it and reach out and get the food off the carpet, and it's got booba hair.
And then booba licks the carpet, yeah.
And she has just, from the night previous, puked up all the stuff that she ate from his room that day before. It's just a big mess. But
and
yeah,
I
he
trust
got all
that's
COVID.
all been cleaned up, right?
Not really. So he got all COVID-y. We did the testy thing, the home test, and we were all pretty chill about it. We've all kind of assumed that we're all going to get COVID.
Right.
Bess's latest quotes on the topic is, well, we're all going to get it, so it's just a matter of time. I'm still holding out. I'm holding out that I'm not going to get it.
As I was convinced. I thought, that we made it so far into it. And, I haven't had a booster yet. I'm going to. But I'd had both vaccines, and Libby's had all hers, and we took the kids, and we've been wearing our masks. And I thought, man, as careful as we've been, I was really convinced that I was going to dodge it, and then I got it. So
yeah, the chronic has gotten everybody.
Exactly.
So.
But how is Andrew feeling?
He seemed fine.
Uh-huh.
He was more sprightly when he was running up the stairs to get away from my tirade this morning than he was yesterday when it happened. So I think he's getting better. It was, I know, when we were watching the game last night, I did a good dad thing. I got some dad points.
Really?
Kind of.
You did a good dad thing.
Yeah. Well, it took a while.
Okay.
I'm going to temper this with how long it took me to realize this. He's been locked in his room since Wednesday. So yesterday was Saturday. It was yesterday morning I woke up and thought, man, he might be getting bored in there. So I went and got, we have a TV, a spare TV, and I donned all the protective gear. I had a mask, I had a hoodie, I had gloves, glasses.
You had a hoodie.
Yeah,
How
with a hat on top
help?
of it. There's pictures. I'll put a picture up. And I announced through the door, get under the covers. I'm coming in. Stop, breathe only when you have to.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in there and I brought a PlayStation. I hooked him up so he was able to watch the big game yesterday on a large screen. He can play PlayStation when he wants to. So I got dad points for doing that, but I lose him a bit because for 3 days he'd been up there with nothing.
I thought he had his own.
He has an iPad, but that's just sad.
Oh, okay.
I don't want him to have to watch a game on the iPad. He watches a lot of stuff on the iPad,
Right.
But, this is a playoff thing, so I wanted him to have a chance to watch it on the big puppy.
Yeah.
So anyway, the reason, his voice was good because we were cheering and freaking out all through the game. We were watching it downstairs. He was watching it upstairs.
Right.
And you could tell there was a lag because they would intercept. We got an interception and we're screaming. And then like 2 or 3 seconds later, you hear him screaming upstairs. And then earlier in the game, he had started screaming before a play even started. And then we were screaming a couple of seconds. So it was this weird lag of the internets in our house.
Right.
But it was fun.
Right.
It was fun. Yeah.
Now, for people listening who aren't in the greater Ohio area where we broadcast this podcast from, where we record it, we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals have had an insane good season with their new quarterback, Joe Burrow. Well, he's what, 2 seasons, 3 seasons into it?
Yeah, he's Macaulay Culkin. I mean, I said
he
I
looks
kept telling
just
Bess,
like Macaulay Culkin. You're exactly right.
There were a few times they showed him on screen when he has his the knit cap on, and I'm like, that's Macaulay Culkin.
Yes,
and
yes.
I, of course, Bess disagreed with me.
It's
I'm like,
so cute when he puts
him
on his aftershave because he still does that thing with the hands on the side of his face. It's very cute. It's adorable.
It was annoying when Joe Pesci ran out in the field and tried to attack him, but he got away from it.
Yeah, he and Daniel Stern are relentless. They don't give up.
But no, so it's a big deal here in the Natties. And so Darren and I had a discussion about football. It's
Which
a typical a Darren and Mike conversation. It ended with me calling him a communist.
A communist, yes.
Yeah. I have intimated before that I don't care about sports and don't watch them.
No, you don't watch football at all. You know nothing about it.
I don't know nothing about it. I do know about football.
Okay.
I don't know everything about football. I'm not in the league of Andrew. But I do know enough to enjoy what's going on. And I've gotten into it now that the Bengals, it feels like I know we've had an NFL team here for a long time, but it feels like we just got one.
Right. It's kind of like, sure, they participate. They get the participation trophy every year.
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, people who've listened to the podcast, people who've known me for a long time know that I am a lifelong Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So, last weekend when the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers came half a game shy of the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals won the division. The Bengals were half a game behind them. So, I mean, yes, the Bengals earned their title of division champions, and congratulations to them. And that's fantastic. Good for them.
Well, I have a question.
The Steelers came so close, and I wanted them to win because it's going to be, pretty sure it's going to be Ben Roethlisberger's last game, and I've been a fan of him since 2004 when they signed him. So I wanted to see him go out on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question that I've been meaning to ask you since yesterday.
Okay.
Why are you a Steelers fan? Because you're from Tennessee, you live in Ohio. Where the hell did the Steelers come in?
I was raised in a town in Virginia, Lebanon, Virginia. And when I grew up in Virginia, we obviously did not have an NFL team. And it was during the 70s when the Steelers won 4 Super Bowls, 2 back-to-back. Then they took a couple of years off, and then 2 back-to-back Super Bowls with Mean Joe Green and Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann, and those guys. That legendary, just insane legendary Pittsburgh Steelers team. So I grew up watching the Steelers with my brother. Our elementary school, you could pretty much split the school half and half between you either like the Steelers or the Dallas Cowboys, right? And so I grew up watching the Steelers. I never had any reason to not watch the Steelers. And then when I moved to Cincinnati in October of '99, they were horrible, and they gave me no reason to change teams. And the Steelers gave me no reason to change teams. So I've lived in Cincinnati for 22 years, and people will give me crap. It's like this woman who I used to work with, Cherie, she would give me a lot of crap. Like, you need to support your local team. I'm like, Cherie, I'm not from here. But I've decided something. I'm still a diehard Steeler fan, and I'm always going to be a diehard Steeler fan. That being said, if the Bengals make it to the Super Bowl, if they're playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I am going to root for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
Because I would rather see them get it than anything good ever happened to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, so, I understand football. I get that. My problem was I never saw why people got so excited about it.
Right.
But, so we took Andrew to the first playoff game, when they were in the first one, it was 31 years. Last Saturday, we were at Wings and Rings, and it was a hoot. And Andrew at one point jumped up, when the game ended, and I thought he was going to knock over multiple tables of beer around us. So we were planning on going and redoing that again this Saturday, but of course COVID stepped in. But what I've done is I have already made reservations at Moorlines. I did it before yesterday's game for Super Bowl Sunday. And told everyone if the Bengals if they don't make the Super Bowl, then we're not going to go there. We're just watching at home. But if they make it into the Super Bowl, we'll get down the Moorlines. I will wear a jersey, and I will have my shaven head painted orange with the black stripes.
Oh my God! No, you're not. Come on.
I will. I'll do it. Yeah. It's going to be fun.
I'm not going to that extreme. I'm just saying, if you know what, and I'm not a bad person. You called me a commie. I'm not a communist. Yeah. It's just, you know what? Like I said, I've always been a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when Jacob, my oldest son, was little and he would go to school, and then it's like they would have Steeler Day, or they would have Bengals Day. And he's like, Dad, that we're supposed to wear our orange and black. And I'm like, well, no, you're not going to wear orange and black because we're Steeler fans. He's like, well, Dad, why can't we be fans of both? And I'm like, they're in the same division. If you root for one, then that's the same as rooting for the other one. They can't tie. They can't both win the division. And so years ago, Libby and I went to a bar with my buddy Greg and his wife Lynn, and they're both Steeler fans. And it's a playoff game. It was that one in the game, or in the rain, in the pouring rain, and it's Steelers and the Bengals. And it looked like the Bengals were going to win it. And then there was a technical, and then there's another foul, and then there's a foul, and they kept moving, and finally everything kept going wrong, and the Steelers advanced 15 yards within kickoff range, and they kicked the field goal, and they won the game. Yeah. Everybody in this bar was livid, furious. My buddy Greg and I, we looked at each other, we're like, are we going to have to fight our way out of this bar? And we asked our waitress, do we need to have police escort us to the car? I mean, what are we going to do? Because they were cussing us. They were yelling at us, shooting us evil looks. And
Lynn, I don't get that.
And Libby were not comfortable. We're like, oh crap, what are we going to do? And we waited until everybody left before we left. And
another aspect of this, of the fact that it's the Bengals and Joe Burrow, is that Joe Burrow actually played. I come from a small town, a very small town. We got excited. They shut the town down when we got our second red light, and when we got a bridge going over to Huntington. That's how small this town was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I grew up in Virginia.
Yeah, Joe Burrow actually played there. He actually played in Proctorville. He played against my high school, the Fairland Dragons.
Yeah.
And I read it was 2013, which blows my mind that it was that recent.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just, it fills me with glee that there's somebody in the NFL, somebody in the home team here, somebody that's potentially going to the Super Bowl that may have at some point eaten a Tudor's biscuit. It just makes me happy.
Yeah.
It just makes me happy.
Okay. That's good. Nice that you have your priorities. I will say
another
something.
piece of this. Let me say one more thing. Because I didn't touch on this. If I do what I said previously, that I'm going to wear a jersey and paint my head orange and black, and we're going to go to Moorlines. Immediately, if you are at Moorlines on the Super Bowl and it's the Bengals are playing Super Bowl, and you see a guy walk in like that, you're going to think, man, that's a super football fan.
Yes.
I'm waiting for someone to try to say something to me, and I'll have no idea what they're talking about.
I was going to say, you're going to have to learn some stats,
There's a man, I can't wait till Joe Montana gets out there.
Exactly.
And,
the guy's like, man, that's a better pass than Andy Dalton made. And you'll be like, yeah.
Which one's OJ? Is he still in the, is he?
No, OJ don't play anymore. Is Dan Marino on the lineup? Is he playing today? Yeah. You're gonna have to learn a few things if you go in dressed like a hardcore lifetime Bengal fan. Well, I wanted to say one other thing.
Go ahead.
I think Joe Burrow, he comes off like a nice guy. Okay,
Yeah.
I like the guy, and if they win, okay, it's good for the town, and it's I mean, it's gonna be great for Cincinnati, and it's like so many of my friends are Bengal fans, and it'll be good for them. So you're not gonna hear me pissing on the Cincinnati Bengals if they win a Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, he does.
I promise you, you're not. Until as soon as somebody starts dogging and telling me that they're better than the Steelers, because the Steelers have won 6.
Yeah.
So I've already got my comeback ready. It's like, if they do win a Super Bowl, I'm going to say, win 5 more and tie us, and then come talk to me.
Well, Joe Burrow, he licks his fingers a lot. And Charlie.
Was he preparing for having a stamp in front of him?
No, every time he's getting ready to start a play, he licks his fingers. And Charlie asked,
COVID.
Early on, and I thought, I thought COVID.
Yeah.
He's giving the other team COVID. I thought, well, he's just doing that to get a better grip on the ball. And then, we're at the end of the game. He has licked his fingers every play. And I thought, he might just like the taste of the football.
He might.
It's considered uncouth to take the football and lick it, on camera. You can't fit it into your face, into that face grill.
Now, I haven't watched... I've watched a lot of football, not more football than any other person I can imagine, but I don't know that anyone's ever licked the ball that I've seen.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of ball licking.
Stop licking the football!
Yeah. You want to keep your ball licking and sports separate.
Now, let's see. I think it's on Channel 12.
Pussykin's cat food tastes real good. Satisfies cats like a cat food should. Hardens their muscles, softens their fur. Pussykin's cat food makes them purr. Are you getting more cat food lately, but enjoying it less?
So you left WLWT.
I did.
Are you out of there yet? Because I didn't want to get the wrath of your friends. I didn't care about your feelings, but I almost on one of your posts, I almost commented, Jesus, when are you leaving? You've been posting pictures for 5 days now. Get him out of there?
Well, man, I've been there, or I was there for 15 years. So
yes, you were.
I went through and I put together a ton of WLWT memories that I wanted to share, and I posted just a ton of pictures on my Facebook page of all these people who I worked with who have left long before me. Some have passed away, and it was just something that I wanted to do. I wanted to say goodbye the best way I could because I have so many great memories of the place, and I left on incredibly good terms. And but yeah, Wednesday was my last day, and today is Sunday the 23rd. Yeah. Tomorrow makes my first day at my new place.
Yeah. So are you nervous?
I am nervous. I mean, I had no idea I had another career change in me. I wasn't expecting this. No one is more surprised about this than I was. And, I'm hoping that I deliver. I'm hoping that I do good work, that I can come up with, funny and fun promos for classic television. So I'm looking forward to it, but I am nervous. And tomorrow we're going to have a meeting, and I get to meet the other people on the team. It'll be virtually. And so I'm very nervous.
So you're working remotely. So how is you're not literally going to walk into a building. You're just going to log into a meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I bought a new desk. They sent the computer to me. I've got that all set up. I've got my desk set up. I've got a nice little place in my basement. And since I'm going to be downstairs all day, we moved our rabbit down here so that the rabbit can keep me company while I edit promos.
Okay.
And it's going to be a good time.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and another
awesome.
thing, do you remember when COVID first started, the pandemic?
I was there, Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, it was back in 1984.
85. It was May of 85.
That's right.
And
Aliens 2 had just come out. I remember that.
Exactly. Well, they issued the lockdown, and they said, and they sent hundreds of people home. Well, at WLWT, they told me, take this computer and you can log in remotely at the station, and you can edit your commercials from home. So I moved my dining room table over into a corner and just put the computer on top of that and started doing that the first day. And Libby asked me what I was doing, and I was like, this is only going to be for a couple of months until we flatten the curve, right?
Yeah.
It ended up being that way for almost 2 years.
I know.
And just last night, I had moved everything out. We took back our dining room. We have a dining room again.
Okay.
It was great. We had dinner in our dining room for the first time in over 2 years last night.
Wait. So where is your damn office then? I've only been half listening. Is it down in the basement?
It's down in the basement. You know where Studio A is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my desk is on the opposite side of the wall from Studio A.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to it.
That's where we took pictures, the first Irritable Dad Syndrome picture.
That's right. Jeff Brown came down and took pictures of us against that wall right there.
Yeah. Oh, so you could just go, you can just stand up and walk right out because you have a walkout basement. You can just walk right out there and
I can just walk out and stand under my gazebo. Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations. I hope it works out.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. I'm nervous, but I think it's going to be a great step. I think if I had not taken this job, I would have kicked myself.
Yeah, you might have thought about it over and over. Yeah. I've found that the older I get, a lot of decisions are driven by if I don't do this or if I don't do that, I'm going to regret it. So I will do that thing or not do that thing.
Yeah.
This portion of Irritable Dad Syndrome is brought to you by Diff Liquid Concentrated Wallpaper Stripper. With its unique enzyme action, Diff dissolves old paste and cuts wallpaper removal time in half. That's right, half. Imagine all the free time you'll have after stripping wallpaper with Diff. Hell, you could take a walk, go to a movie, or shoot pool with your old buddy that just got out of prison. Your options are unlimited with Diff. Oh, and did I mention that no steamer is needed? It may sound crazy, but it's true. No steamer is needed when removing wallpaper with Diff. Diff is the only one that really works. Look for Diff wherever quality wallpaper stripper is sold. Diff, the official wallpaper stripper of the 2021 Summer Olympic Games.
Well, a couple of sad things happened this week on the same day. On the very same day.
Okay.
I don't know if you like the singer Meat Loaf. I loved his music. I had a lot of Meat Loaf fans only had Bat Out of Hell and then Bat Out of Hell 2. But there's an album of his called Dead Ringer. And that was the one he released right after Bat Out of Hell that, in my opinion, is 100 times better than Bat Out of Hell. Okay. Insane good album. I listened to it, I don't know how many times, front to back. An incredible good album. This guy could sing his face off. He was insane, amazing vocalist. And I really enjoyed his music. And he died. And then a couple hours later, we find out that Louie Anderson, one of my all-time favorite comedians, has passed away.
I love Louie Anderson. So I want to take them separately. So
yes.
Let's start with Louie.
Okay.
One of my favorite. Okay, so I watched comedy incessantly as a kid. We had HBO.
Right.
So I watched all of the what were they? Comic reliefs. I watched Robin Williams and George Carlin. Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, all their specials when they were on. I watched all of the half hour, there was like the One Night Stand. There were different half hour comedy shows.
Yeah.
And through all, I watched it constantly. I watched Norm Macdonald's first, his first One Night Stand of those things. So I've watched comedy my entire life. And so for a bit or for a show to stand out amongst those is says something. So there's a few stand out to me. One that stands out to me is, Eddie Murphy. Another that stands out is George Carlin. I mentioned it in the last episode or a couple episodes ago. He's wearing the blue sweater.
Yes.
But another one that stands out is Louie Anderson did a special And I don't know, I don't remember the specifics of the bit. I just remember through almost the entirety of it, he was laying down on the stage, just be like, like he was in pain. And I was I was a kid and I was in tears laughing. And I know I want to find it again and watch it again in context as an adult. But from then I saw him, he appeared on the Tonight Show, Letterman. That was when he was like really starting to be a thing. He was one of them.
His first appearance on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, you can hear Johnny Carson almost falling out of his chair laughing at him.
Yeah. And he was one of them. So this is how I ranked comedians in my head. As I mentioned, I watched Comic Relief every year. Mm-hmm. There were some that would take the stage in Comic Relief, and I would skip them to go get Doritos or something.
Right.
And then there were other ones I was guaranteed to watch, like Robin Williams or those. Louie Anderson was one. He was like, I can't miss his bit. And, Stephen Wright.
Right.
That. But I loved Louie Anderson. I didn't watch his more recent stuff. As a matter of fact, I was, every time he would pop up, I was always surprised he was still around. That's terrible. Yeah. But I watched him all the time in the 80s and 90s.
Okay, so one of my favorite bits of his that I would always, whenever my buddies and I would go to a bar, I would think about this. He talked about people who would drink. And then after they would have a hard night of drinking, they'd go to a restaurant and they'd say, okay, this is what I want. I want pancakes, scrambled eggs, potatoes, and beets. I want beets. So me and my buddies would go out and get a couple of beers at us and just start yelling that we want beets.
They make those sounds. I'm drunk. I'm drunk. I'm drunk. I'm drunk. Who's drunk? I'm drunk. That's right. And they order foods that they don't have. Do you have any beets? I want beets. And I was there before they had beets. Beets, 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 beets. All right, here's what I want. Pancakes, French toast, French fries, 2 eggs, corned beef hash, all with gravy on it, and beets on the side. Now.
Okay, so Zach Galifianakis created a show called Baskets. Okay? Baskets. Zach Galifianakis is a clown.
Yeah.
And the name of the clown is Baskets. And he plays himself and his twin brother. Well, Louie Anderson plays Zach's mother. Okay? He plays a female. He doesn't play like a man who's transgender or a man who becomes female. He plays his mother. And it's just, he won an Emmy Award for it. So deserved. He won the Emmy Award for Best Supporting Actor for playing Zach Galifianakis' mother. And if you haven't seen Baskets, you absolutely have to.
That's awesome.
I mean, Louie Anderson, he was one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, he was great. Now, Meatloaf, I'm afraid I'm going to piss you off. I'm going to try not to piss you and other people off.
I don't think you are, because I think I know what you're going to say.
Well, hold on. First, I want a disclaimer. If you're a millennial or younger, fuck off. You have no place in this conversation. Because I know in your age range, Meatloaf is a legend, and you guys, you like things ironically or you don't like them. Who knows what goes on with your weird crap on the interwebs. So I'm talking to Gen X and above. Everyone else, just go vape or have a Kai tea. The rest of us, the adults are talking.
Just go on TikTok and send the videos of you changing clothes.
Yeah. So I could never tell whether Meatloaf was a serious artist or if he was a parody, like a joke, like not Weird Al, but in the vein of Weird Al. Because I never like songs like I Would Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That. Just that title. And I saw the video and I'm like, that he can't. he seems serious and it sounds serious, but I can't imagine any. And I would see people like quote it, and I wouldn't. Are they being ironic, or do they really like that? Just the name Meatloaf,
right?
I never. So was he a? I think I want to. I'm 50. Okay, the vote is in my Congress. 51% of the Senate in Mike's head believes he was a serious artist, but 49% are holding out thinking he was playing everybody.
Right. Well, in my opinion, it was hard to take the guy seriously when his name is Meatloaf.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But because I remember as a kid when I first heard it, I was just thinking, this is a pretty good song, but his name is Meatloaf. That's a nickname that his dad gave him.
Okay.
So, and then it's like, after I watched some interviews, got to know the guy a little bit. I never met him, didn't know him personally. Then I just like, okay, great singer, dumb name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I can see. Okay.
Yeah.
That helps. That perspective helps.
Right.
So he was serious in his music. He wasn't trying to be funny.
Oh, no. He was absolutely serious with his music. He gave it 110%. And one of the reasons why he was so successful was because this guy named Jim Steinman wrote the majority of his songs, all the songs on Bat Out of Hell, everything off of Bat Out of Hell 2, and then most of the stuff off his other albums was written by Jim Steinman. Jim Steinman also wrote Total Eclipse of the Heart for Bonnie Tyler. He wrote Making Love Out of Nothing at All for Air Supply. And he wrote It's All Coming Back to Me Now for Celine Dion. I know you're a big Celine Dion fan.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So, but yeah, that was, it was, and I don't think Meatloaf would have been as successful had Steinman not written those songs for him. Sure, somebody else could have written killer songs for him.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would have hit that level of success had it not been for Jim Steinman. And I don't think Jim Steinman would have been what he had, the legend he'd become had Meatloaf not sang his stuff. They helped each other out and sang.
Okay, so I think I'm going to start listening. I'm going to listen to a few things now because just what you said. I'm a weird. I don't know if you know this. I'm a weird guy.
You are. I do know that.
I can have like a little thing can keep me from ever even trying something. But now that I know that Meatloaf was a nickname and that he was serious, I think I can listen. I may have to take like a Meatloaf CD and put it in a Sting case and pretend I'm listening to Sting.
You don't want people to know you're listening to Meatloaf?
No. I want to trick myself.
Right.
Because if I look down and I see it's Meatloaf, instantly my brain's going to be like, come on, man, what are you doing?
Let me say one more thing about, because you said you had a hard time taking him seriously. I think, had they ever made a Meatloaf biopic, a movie about him, Chris Farley could have played Meatloaf.
He could.
Chris Farley would have totally killed the character of Meatloaf. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been his serious role, too. That would have been the thing that Tom Hanks'd him.
Yeah.
Like a few years later, you'd see him in a World War I movie. But
Never do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Well, Lottie frickin' da! We got ourselves a writer here!
so it made me think of a couple other things. So, and I'm not going to drone on and on about this. I just want to draw a parallel here.
Okay.
I think everybody knows
you're
by now.
You're going to draw a parallel.
I am.
Wow.
Without a ruler. Everyone knows, I think, that listens to this for a while, that I'm a Tool fan. Mm-hmm. And Tool fans are some of the most insufferable people you'll ever be around. You listen, there's like memes and there's jokes everywhere. You listen where a guy listens to one Tool song or a lady listens to one Tool song, and all of a sudden they're lecturing all their friends about taking music seriously and blah blah blah.
Right.
So Tool themselves, Maynard and the whole crew, are annoyed by their own fans because of that. Uh-huh. So they place things all the time in their albums that are just to be funny, just to like mess with people. and then watch as the weird fans will take those and like draw parallels to UFO conspiracies or hidden doorways of reality, when all it is them playing around. I'll give 2 examples. One is on Enema, their second album, halfway through
their album was called Enema.
Yeah. But it's spelled AE. It's got the AE or combined. It's that weird letter. Enema. But the song Enema is about California washing away all the fake people, washing away and getting rid of that, almost like America getting an enema. It's like a play on words. That's an example of something that they do. But halfway through the album, at the end of one of the songs, they have, if you back in the day you listen to vinyls, or me in the day now, you get to the end of a side and it makes that sound.
Yeah, that's
they
pretty
put
good.
That, they put that at the end. That's my Foley work. They put that at the end of the, I think it's the 5th or 6th song on the CD, and they did it as a joke so that, you hear that, and then the next song starts. It's supposed to like jolt you or scare you a bit. They did it to be funny. But I remember back in the day seeing on the Netscape forums, all these people, all these reasons, and they timed how long it was, and they timed the pause for the next song, and that means something. So you can see why Maynard and the crew would hate their own fans. But on the same album, they have this thing called Die Euer Satan, and it is a weird beat with a German speaking, and it sounds evil. It sounds satanic, and Satan is in the title. It's a German guy reading a recipe for chocolate chip cookies. Or some form of brownies. So they do stuff like that all the time. So like I look at that and I see there's a band that is taken way too seriously and they're having fun with it. And then I look at Meatloaf and it's like the opposite. He's being very serious, but it's hard to take him serious because he has a non-serious exterior that I need to break through. They're like a negative to each other to me. So you have opened up a new doorway. I'm going to be a Meatloaf fan. I have a feeling by the time we next get together. But.
If you listen to the Jim Steinman stuff, you're going to love it. There's some of his stuff that was written by other people that's not that impressive. He does have an album called Welcome to the Neighborhood, which is really good. Steinman writes 2 or 3 songs on it, and then some of the other songs are good. They're written by other artists. He does a Sammy Hagar song on there called Amnesty is Granted. That's amazing. I mean, and Sammy sings background and plays guitar on it.
Sammy is friends with everybody, it seems. It seems like
Sammy
everybody
loves
likes
everybody.
Sammy.
I've been so excited because I was telling you 3 or 4 weeks ago that I think something's wrong with Kroger. I'm not getting any fun out of going to Kroger anymore.
Yeah.
Until a couple of days ago. And I don't even know where to begin with my disappointment with Kroger, because I'm walking through my Kroger and I'm going through the produce department and I look on the floor. Okay. I noticed sometimes they put signage on the floor. Have you noticed that? They started doing that in the 90s. Let's put signs on the floor. Yeah. Because there's not enough for people to look at hanging from the ceiling and on the shelves.
Well, people are looking at the floor because they're tired of seeing the up top. So Kroger is just putting stuff on the floor now.
Well, I looked down on the floor as I'm walking through the produce department, and the sign says, "Feeling adventurous?" Now, normally, my voice is cracking. Normally, when I'm shopping, the answer is no. But I saw this and I thought, you know what? I kind of am feeling adventurous. And I thought, what kind of adventure can I get into today at Kroger? Adventure is out there. It is. What do they possibly have in store for me that could cure my need for adventure?
Golly gee, Willikers, Mr. Cox, what did you find?
Well, I'll tell you, Mikey. Okay. I looked straight ahead, and there was a refrigerated section where you could buy some bratwurst or bratwurst, depending.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's not very adventurous.
No.
You look past that, and then there's the deli department. And then I thought, maybe they're going to let me cut my own meat.
Maybe.
Yeah. But I doubt it.
Yeah.
So if you look to your right, there's a big thing of unsalted pecans and almonds.
Okay.
Further to your right, you're going around the clock here. If you look like at 5 o'clock on your right, that's just the produce department. There's oranges and lemons. To my left is the floral department.
So while you've been talking, I've been imagining Harrison Ford in a fedora with a bullwhip and a machete looking around. And I can tell you that this is the most boring Indiana Jones I've ever seen in my life.
I know.
I haven't seen the adventure yet.
I haven't either. I still had. That was well over a week ago. I'm like, they asked the question, feeling adventurous, but they give me absolutely nothing to back it up.
That's just rude. I mean, there's a crowbar
so
there.
now I want to jump out of a plane. Okay, I want to go find hidden treasure.
Yeah,
but I'm just left unsatisfied. So thank you, Kroger, for that.
So I actually have a Kroger story of the week as well.
Okay, go ahead, and then I've got another one.
Okay, so I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been an extreme shortage of baggers.
There has been.
And all through the pandemic at large, I was going through the self-check, unless I had like an ungodly amount of groceries, which I did yesterday. So I'll tell the end of the story first, so you can see, you go backwards. The end of the story is this
will be like a Quentin Tarantino story.
It is. This is a Quentin Tarantino.
You tell the end, and then you tell how it began. Okay.
Mike spent $330 on groceries yesterday.
Good God.
I didn't believe it myself.
How many Blue Bunny ice cream bars did you get?
We're well stocked. I pulled away and I from the register, and I stopped and looked at the receipt, and I'm like, yeah, by golly, he got everything on there. So I had a very full cart. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going up there and I'm like, there's no way.
2 carts.
There's no way that I am bagging all this myself. And I was annoyed already. I got annoyed in advance. It's like, if they do not have a bagger. And I looked and I saw a couple of baggers walking around, and I thought, okay, surely they're going to call in the baggers for this puppy. I get, down, I watch the person in front of me bag everything themselves. Okay. And I thought, this is not going to stand with what I've got here. So I thought, I am going to bag passive aggressively. I'm going to take all the time I need as an amateur bagger to make sure that my things are bagged correctly and placed in my cart properly.
You go, girl.
On. Yeah. Normally I do the card and the Kroger Plus card and all that crap and then go down. No, I skipped all that and I went down to the end, and I'm taking my time. Mm-hmm. And occasionally looking up at the cashier and looking up at the people who were very annoyed behind me. I don't know if I need to tell you this, but $330 worth of groceries is a lot of stuff to bag.
That's a lot of groceries.
So after probably about 5 to 6 minutes of this, the cashier jumped in and started helping. There were free baggers walking around. They weren't helping. And I'm just bagging. I'm bagging, not slowly, not intentionally slowly, but very methodically and very purposefully. And I was ready. I was ready for someone to look at me the wrong way, or someone to make the comment, could you hurry it up? To which I would say, I don't know. I'm not trained to do this. This is not my job.
Right.
And I don't like people that do that.
I don't either.
But come on. There's mounds of this is ridiculous. And so I get to the end of everything. Once the final bag, I'm lifting it from the thing, and I'm about to go back and pay. One of the baggers comes over and says, "Hi, welcome to Kroger." And I just laughed. I just laughed like you just did. I laughed like they'd come up and told me the knock knock interrupting cow moo joke for the first time. And so I went back and I did all the money thing, and I came out. I woke up the gentleman behind me. It's your turn now, and left. And I was like, I actually had to bag everything. I mean, not everything. The cashier ended up bagging like 4 or 5 bags of stuff. But that's becoming I don't want to sound like a first world problem person, but I'm getting tired of that because
No,
I
I
know
understand what you mean. Now,
I've worked at Kroger in the past.
I worked at Winn-Dixie for 5 years.
I know that you pay more at Kroger because they're bagged and because of all this stuff. So it's annoying. It's like, man, maybe you should cut some of my bill off because nobody's doing what they're supposed to be doing here.
Right.
I get that it was a game day, but you can't tell me that many Kroger baggers are Bengals fans.
Right. Well, now let me tell you something. When I used to work at the grocery store back in the 80s and the early 90s, and I've talked about Don Wilcox on this podcast, I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
But he did not want anybody. It's like customers did not bag their own things. And it was very, very common that if there were more customers than baggers, he would call people from produce. He would call people from frozen food. He would call people from meat department. He would call people from the meat department to come up and get the customers out of the store because his philosophy was when they're shopping, you can stop them and ask them, how are you doing today? Can I help you find something? Whatever. When they're buying and paying at the end, they're ready to go. And so it was very common for him to say, Darren, customer service over the intercom, or Mike, customer service. And he would bring people. It's like if there were bag boys who were stocking or blocking the aisles, he would call them up. And I have not ever heard anybody at any grocery store call someone up to the front for customer service. It's just not a thing anymore. They just, whoever's there is there.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you something? And I'll speak directly to Kroger. Fist bump Freddy back in the day would have not let that happen.
No, he would not fist bump Freddy. No, he wouldn't.
That's all I'm saying. I don't know what you guys did with him.
Right.
I don't know what happened, but if he were still working there, or doing the same position, I don't know. Maybe he's moved on. Maybe I hope that he's moved on.
Yeah.
To a better position. But if you guys
my manager, Mr. Wilcox, would come down out of his office and bag groceries and take people's stuff out to their car for them and bring in carts. Yeah. He did all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I got one more Kroger story.
All right.
This is on a different night than when I was seeking adventure. I had a couple of things, and I took Cameron to swim, ran by Kroger, grabbed a couple of things, and I'm going through the line there, and the cashier, this dude was talking to the other guy who was bagging. Here I have two things, and this is the day where there's a guy waiting to bag my stuff. I could have grabbed that by myself, Anyway, I'm wearing my Steeler jersey.
Yeah.
And the guy looks at my jersey, and he looks at me, and he looks at the jersey again, and he said, "Can I ask you a question?" And I thought, okay, he's going to ask me, why do you live in Cincinnati and you're a Steeler fan or something? And I said, yeah, sure. Knock yourself out. What's your question?
Yeah.
He says, what would you do if, say, some stranger, just random person walked up and punched the out of you?
Oh, jeez. I think that's how a few Steven Seagal movies have started, with a confrontation like that.
And I'm like, excuse me? He goes, I'm just curious. I'm just asking. And I said, well, I would punch the person back. He goes, oh okay. Oh, well, here's your receipt. Have a good day. I don't know.
That's like the hillbilly version of making you an offer you can't refuse. There was like a subtle thread in there. It's a nice house. It'd be a shame if something were to happen to it.
Exactly.
Wow.
Well, we were talking about Louie Anderson earlier, and very funny comedian, very clean comedian. Well, you and I, with your wife and my wife, we went on a double date last week, and we went to see Nate Bargatze.
Oh
now,
my God!
I don't know if you don't know who Nate Bargatze is, you need to know who Nate Bargatze is, because this guy made me laugh so hard. My face hurt, my sides hurt. I mean, I just in awe of the guy. I don't know where he finds the the material, because I mean, he could walk from here to there, pick up a paperclip, and talk about finding this paperclip, and you're just crying laughing at him.
Well, see, I didn't know anything about him. You let me know that he existed, and then I watched one of his specials, and I laughed myself silly, and I ended up watching all the specials. But I've really paid attention to him.
He's got 2 specials on Netflix right now.
There's really not any punchlines there. He's just telling stories. He's just basically narrating his life, but you get giggly.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, you're right. There's no punchline.
Yeah, like he's one of those comedians where no one else is going to be able to do a Nate Bargatze joke because it's all him. You know, it's kind of like Stephen Wright, I think, is in that same category.
Right.
In a lot of ways, Norm Macdonald is kind of in that same thing. Other people can do those jokes, but not like him. Well,
the difference is, you know, when you're a comedian, when you tell somebody, "Hey, what do you do for a living? I'm a comedian." Oh, tell me a joke.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Nate Bargatze can't just go, "Well, okay, a friend of mine and I were walking on a hike." Well, okay, it wasn't really a hike. It was on a paved road. We could see the car the whole time. Okay, so it was a hospital parking lot. And we see this pond, and next to the pond, there's this turtle.
Yeah.
And the turtle jumps in the water. And I asked my friend, I said, "Well, do you think that was cold?" And then my friend says, "Well, the turtle's cold-blooded."
Yeah.
So it probably didn't bother me. It just felt like bathwater. And I didn't know what I wanted out of the conversation. Then I felt bad. And so I'm like, "Hey, sorry about what I said about the turtle earlier." And he's like, "Whatever, let's not talk about it anymore." And then it was awkward. I mean, it's like, you can't. Stephen Wright, on the other hand, can totally say, "I'm in the centrifugal Air Force." Okay, that's. But I mean, but the crazy thing is, after Nate Bargatze, and again, Nate Bargatze was completely clean. He didn't even say "damn it." Okay, no. Completely clean, and he didn't do any crude or vulgar material. He talked about the turtle. He talked about his daughter going to school. He talked about the time he went to a restaurant and the waitress took their order and then she quit and left. And he's always wondered whatever happened to this waitress.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how he does it. But so after the show was over with and we said, we parted and we promised we'll keep in touch. We'll talk to you guys again. And you guys got in your car. I went to the bathroom and I'm standing there waiting to get into the bathroom. And this guy gets in line behind me and he looks at me and goes, "Hey, is this where all the dicks hang out?" And I'm like, "Really? You're gonna try that joke after I saw one of the funniest people I've ever seen in my life, and you're gonna do the old, 'Is this where the dicks hang out?'" And I didn't even look at him. I didn't go or whatever. I didn't respond at all. And I hope that I gave him that awkwardness. He's like, "Oh boy, did I say something to make this guy mad?" And whatever.
Yeah. I generally don't speak or respond to anybody if their penis is out.
I'm with you. You don't talk to people in the bathroom.
That's right.
This portion of Irritable Dad Syndrome is brought to you by Guadalupe Shrimp Po' Boy Palace. Hi, I'm Dave Lay. The sandwiches at Guadalupe's are made from the freshest lettuce, homemade bang bang sauce, and shrimp caught that day. These sandwiches taste so good you'll come back the next day wanting more. With 9 locations in the U.S., Canada, and Vermont, there's bound to be one near you somewhere. So check out Guadalupe Shrimp Po' Boy Palace and tell them Dave sent you. Now back to the show.
So I have a brief story about that you've been wanting to, I think, ever since I put it on I didn't even put it on the rundown. I texted it to you.
Right. It was so good I put it on the rundown.
Yeah. So we have like most Americans, we have a clothes washer and dryer. Okay. All right.
Yes.
And
I too, as a fine American, have a washer and a dryer.
Yeah, so we have this the button that you use to turn it on. You can also pause what's going on. I've noticed over the past
turns it on, it turns it off.
Right. It starts the cycle or pauses the cycle, and then you push it again to just completely. It's like I was going to wash my clothes, and no, I don't feel like dedicating that amount of time today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. You can do that. So I've noticed that over the past few months, that button has gotten more and more depressed into the console until a couple of weeks ago, it was like way in there, and it wasn't really responsive. And then the next day, it was like way in there. And Bess informed me that the washer wasn't working. So I go in there and I try to work with the button, and it looks like it's like needs to be moved around a bit to come back out of the faceplate. I hadn't even asked why the button was so far deep into the thing. I pushed it a little bit further, and something inside snapped, and then the button went way in. Okay. So at that point, we've gotten beyond either one of our abilities to troubleshoot the situation. So I get the service person to come out. And of course, they inform me it's $120 just for the person to come to our house.
Right.
Like, man, that's okay, above and beyond anything that he finds. And what I learned so obviously, there's an interrogation phase. How is it that far in there? And I found out that what Bess has been doing for months now is pushing the button. And if the button doesn't respond, she pushes it harder and then a little bit harder until she's until we basically broke the button off of the thing. So I was like,
Bess doesn't realize her own strength, is what you're saying?
I was impressed because, I'm the one that snapped it. I will own that. But it's kind of like I came to the tree after the little wedge had been cut into it over time and just tipped it over. She had done most of the work. And I said, I'm imagining you coming in here and pressing the button. I mean, it's not like we just got this washer. We've had this thing for like 8 or 9 years. I'm imagining you pushing it until it's recessed back into the thing and it's about to snap before saying anything about it. And it's still cockeyed, even after the guy fixed it. We paid like $300, $250. All they did was push it back into the thing, something that I was trying to do when I snapped it. So I'm a little annoyed at that. So then we had to have a button class in front of the washer. Now no one can press the button. The button doesn't press in. You have to push your finger on the button and slide it up and to the right. And it will ding. And I said, to start the cycle, I said, if it doesn't ding, stop. Don't apply any pressure. Don't get a hammer. Don't jam something in there. Just stop and call me or call someone, but don't touch it after that.
Don't get finger happy.
Yeah, don't get finger happy. So we've been doing that for about a week and a half, and things seem to be okay. Because I don't know about you, but with 2 kids and a dog that likes to puke randomly, having the washer go out even for a day or 2 is a huge deal.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
No, that reminds me. I told you, when I had COVID, I lost my sense of smell. I still can't smell. I can barely smell, and by barely I mean like 1% on a 100% scale.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I had washed a load of towels, and I forgot to put them in the dryer. And I noticed like the next day, like late into the next day, that I've got these towels in the washer, and so usually you get them out. Do they smell musty? And because, I don't know how long you can wait before it's safe to just throw them in there.
Yeah.
So I bring in Cameron. I was like, hey, buddy, Daddy can't smell the towels. Smell these for me and tell me if they smell bad. And so Cameron takes one and he puts his nose to it and goes, oh, yeah. I'm like, what do you mean, yeah? Yeah, it smells good? Or, yeah, it smells bad. And he says, well, the towels smell wet.
You're using the wrong sense, boy.
I said, the towels can't smell. Of course they're wet. I know they're wet, but do they smell bad? And I think he just gave up on it. He's like, yeah, they smell bad. So I washed them again. Just like, the towels smell wet.
Anytime I'm dealing with wet laundry, I look at it as, like the first 48 when they find a body. And if I don't immediately know the time of death or the time of washing, I go ahead and wash them again. Because you never know. I'll do that one where they say Ebola has started in Cincinnati, Ohio, because somebody left their towels too long.
With somebody's towels, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Cameron, he had a buddy. They went to a lock-in, this event for our church last night. And his buddy's dad came and picked him up this morning. And it reminded me of a story that I don't think I've ever told you. A couple of years ago, Cameron was going to have a friend come over and play, as you would call them, Vigi games. He was going to have a friend come over and play Vigi games. They were going to play Nerf guns. He was going to come over for a couple of hours. Okay. So this is a kid that has never been to our house.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But it's a kid that Cameron met through church.
Okay.
So this kid's coming over, and just as he pulls up into the drive, Libby goes, Libby had just gotten out of the shower and her hair wasn't all did up and everything.
Yeah.
She says, I'm not home. I'm just going to hang out here until the parents drop this kid off, and then I'll come out. And I said, okay. So this kid and his dad comes up to the door. I'm like, hey, I'm Darren. And the guy's like, I can't remember the guy's name. And I said, come on in. I said, yeah, my wife ran out for a couple hours, but I'll be here. So, you know, everything will be fine and I'll be good. And the guy comes in and he says, do you mind if I stay? Because this guy happens to be a good father who doesn't know who this kid is going to see, who these kids' parents are.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So the guy sits down on the couch and just starts talking. And he talks and talks. And talks. And I mean, it's a nice guy. It's a good conversation. And I'm having this conversation with him. And Libby has to stay in the room. And she can't make a sound because I've lied to this guy and said that Libby's gone out for a couple of hours.
She's a hostage in her own house at that point.
Hostage in her own house. And I wasn't lying when I said that her hair was wet, so she couldn't dry her hair.
Yeah.
She couldn't make any noise. So she stayed in her room for a couple of hours, and then when the guy and the kid left, I'm like, you can come out now. I'm like, God, and I had told all my stories, and I completely ran out of anything to say to keep this guy interested in whatever. Well, before we wrap up, I wanted to give a shout out to one of our favorite listeners, a guy named Jim Timmerman. I've mentioned him several times on the podcast.
Has he started planking with Jim back up yet?
No, his Facebook got hacked.
Oh.
I mean, not only hacked, like everything hacked. All his stuff, his pictures, everything just got destroyed. So he hasn't been on Facebook in quite some time, which sucks because planking with Jim was fantastic and I love watching it every day.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got a text from him. Dear Irritable Dad Syndrome, on my way to Louisville for work, listening to the show. It's great to have you guys along for the ride.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is very awesome. And Jim, it's fantastic to have you along with the ride with us. And I want to thank all of our listeners for being on this trip with us. We've done 74 episodes now. And the show feels like it keeps getting a little bit more popular. And so we wouldn't be able to do it without our listeners. So thank you so much. And we want to remind you that if you go to irritabledadsyndrome.com, Mike has put a ton of work into the website. I mean, it's like
about
a brand
time
new
you
website.
People stop passively enjoying the show and go do some work and look at the cool website.
Yeah. But you can go to our website. You can listen to previous episodes. You can buy cool merchandise and give it to your wife, and then she'll like, oh wow, thanks, honey. And there's just it's limitless the things you can do.
there may be a limit.
You can spend days, literally days on irritabledadsyndrome.com.
I will say, okay, so I look at myself. If I can be entertained by our website, I think that's a good thing. And one of my favorite things is that there's categories, and you can search by keyword. So if you want to know everything we've said about a certain topic, you can actually search for that, and the episodes that mention it will pop up.
That's super cool.
And we've got them categorized. If you, for some reason, like it when we review things, or you like it when we tell stories from college or stuff like that, you can select those categories. It'll pull up all the episodes that have those. So that's a fun thing.
Very cool. All right, well, thanks again for listening, and we will see you next week on Irritable Dad Syndrome.
Mm-hmm.